The Xbox Series X is starting to hit stores early, as in right now. Level 5 Studios, the company behind titles like Professor Layton and Yokai Watch, is in major trouble in North America, and Nintendo is cutting Joy-Con prices in Japan, but will this be a worldwide thing? And more importantly, why is Nintendo cutting the price of the Joy-Con when it's still selling very well? I think things could get very interesting as to the reasoning behind this. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. Hope you're having a good day. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit like as well. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So we are less than 1 month away from the release of the Xbox Series X worldwide, and honestly, it's been a very interesting ride from Microsoft thus far. Of course, we first saw the system at the Game Awards 2019. Everyone was pretty blown away that Microsoft was being so boisterous about the system itself, showcasing it much earlier than we saw the PlayStation 5. However, since then, things have been a bit of a mixed bag. Launching without a flagship title seems very risky since Halo Infinite has been delayed, well, indefinitely. But studio acquisitions such as Bethesda recently, the robust features of things like Game Pass, which bring you a huge variety of games to your Xbox Series X, the impressive improvements of previous Xbox released titles running on the Series X without developers having to really do anything to activate these features, along with third-party titles designed with the hardware in mind like NBA 2K21, I think the Xbox Series X will still be a popular platform this holiday season, if for no other reason than the fact that it's new hardware, and people always love new hardware. Now, while pre-orders for both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 have been a bit rough to come by, both situations could have been handled much better, I feel, the day of release for both of these systems is coming very soon, and some stores are actually getting the systems in stock, well, now. Warehouses are already shipping out the Xbox Series X systems, with pictures of the system floating around on places like Reddit showcasing the box of the final design of the Xbox Series X. And one guy even did an unboxing video of the Xbox Series X and uploaded it onto his YouTube channel. Now, this dude wasn't really very bright because, well, you could clearly see who he is in the video and his face and all that. And I highly doubt he got an early console from Microsoft themselves. So yeah, this probably wasn't the smartest decision to make because, well, Microsoft's just pretty much going to assume that this gentleman stole it potentially from one of these warehouses. Now, since these systems are going out so early, it'll be interesting to see if some retailers, especially smaller ones like mom and pop shops, end up breaking the street date on the Xbox Series X and people end up getting their hands on the console early. Usually the time frame between when a system is released and ships to a store is much shorter, like a week or so, to really avoid problems like that. I remember working at GameStop, we would get the Xbox 360s in about a week before they actually launched because I was around for the launch of the Xbox 360, and basically they were held under lock and key in this back room. But a month early definitely seems like a bit of a change. Now, I got my pre-order in for the Xbox Series X, and honestly, I'm fine waiting until it officially releases, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out since Microsoft is indeed sending out these consoles so early. Now, are you going to try to get your hands on an early Xbox Series X console, maybe from a smaller shop, or maybe they'll just happen to fall off one of the trucks that are on way to the retailers? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we're going to talk about Level 5 Studios because what's happening with Level 5 Studios is honestly pretty sad. Now, Level 5 Studios is of course a very well-known studio that many of us enjoy, whether you realize it or not. Now, originally they were a PlayStation 2 developer with games like Dark Cloud, which was a very popular game on the PlayStation 2. But Level 5 seemed to be hitting their stride with the launch of the Yokai Watch series, which was really poised to be the next Pokemon killer. Other games that Level 5 has brought over are games like Ni no Kuni, Professor Layton, which of course ended up becoming a big hit on Nintendo platforms, and publishing other games for other developers onto Nintendo 3DS as well. However, it seems that Level 5 hasn't been doing very well in terms of sales lately, especially in North America. And a new report posted this morning by GamesIndustries.biz is saying that Level 5 is all but shutting down in North America. According to this report, sources say that there were no clear reason for the layoffs that were given for Level 5 of North America. though those connected to Abby say that the employees were given every indication that the studio would be closing down, with 1 or 2 employees remaining for a few more months to carry out essential functions throughout the process while the company consolidated its businesses between the Japan office and international advertising and brand company Dentsu. So really the writing is on the wall with this, and when you look at some of the more recent level 5 releases, they really haven't been big killer titles. Now of course, I always sort of go back to the Yokai Watch franchise because this seemed like it was going to be huge. I remember when Yokai Watch came out on the 3DS, everyone was talking about it, and while personally I wasn't a huge fan of the series or anything, I actually believe I reviewed the first Yokai Watch game that came out on the 3DS. I could see why people would be excited for this. It was like Pokemon, but it was a little different. It had a little bit more of an adult edge to it, and I thought that it would manage to capture some sort of the Pokemon marketplace in North America. But honestly, it looks like we won't be getting any more level 5 games in North America, but the company will continue to operate in Japan. Now, while consoles like the Nintendo Switch are of course region free, most level 5 games are very text heavy, making them virtually unplayable in the West, well, unless you speak Japanese. Like I said, I have played some level 5 games. I enjoyed the Professor Layton games on the Nintendo DS, and really I thought Yokai Watch 4 on the Nintendo Switch showed a lot of promise as a game. This game already released in Japan for the Nintendo Switch, and this game graphically looked very impressive, especially when you compare it to games like Pokemon Sword and Shield. But now it appears that the game will never be localized, meaning that many people will not be able to check out this game. Hopefully something ends up happening with this. Hopefully level 5 doesn't completely just go off the map in North America, but it really seems like that's the way it's going, and honestly, I feel like that's a big shame. Let me know in the comments section down below if you enjoyed any level 5 games. And finally, Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Something's going on with them, and I think it could lead to something very interesting. Now, of course, we have been talking a lot about Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons lately on the channel. Of course, there is a class action lawsuit going on right now with Joy-Con drift that is a very hot topic, with Nintendo severely downplaying and, well, really denying the impact that Joy-Con drift has on its consumers, which, if you've ever experienced Joy-Con drift, you would know that, well, it's pretty much bullshit, because Joy-Con drift is a real thing, and it is absolutely horrible. I personally have gone through several sets of Joy-Cons, to the point of where I no longer use Joy-Cons, instead opting for the Hori grip, which, while it lacks some of the features that Joy-Cons bring to the table, at least it allows me to control the game that I am playing when in handheld mode. We also know that Joy-Cons are very expensive too, with the set retailing for about $80 in North America, and Nintendo rarely, well, if ever, discounts things when it comes to first-party systems and games. However, in Japan, that appears to be changing, and really, it's starting to spark a lot of talk right now within the Nintendo community about Joy-Cons. Joy-Con prices are actually going down in Japan for the MSRP. Now, starting on November 6th, the individual price of Joy-Con controllers will be reduced by about 16.5%. From about $43 North American to $36 North American plus tax. Now, while this price is for an individual Joy-Con and not a set, this will indeed be the new going rate for a single Joy-Con in Japan. And really, this is interesting to me for honestly, this is interesting to me for, well, really a variety of reasons. First off, Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons aren't necessarily losing favor or selling poorly or anything like that. If anything, I fully expect Joy-Cons to be sold out worldwide this holiday season. So why would Nintendo drop the price of an item that, well, is still selling well? That's not in their DNA, let's be realistic here. Could this be in retaliation to the class action lawsuit that we mentioned before? Honestly, probably not, because it really wouldn't solve the problem of Joy-Con drift or make anyone happy with the situation, so I don't see why this would have any sort of bearing on that. The final piece of speculation I've seen, though, has to be the most interesting. Could this play into Nintendo potentially revealing new Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch, or be something related to the Nintendo Switch revision that is heavily rumored to be releasing in 2021? Maybe Nintendo is wanting to get rid of extra stock of Joy-Cons by discounting the price of them, and a newly designed Joy-Con, potentially, well, without Joy-Con drift hopefully, is what is on the table for this revision. It honestly wouldn't be all that crazy if you think about it. Your standard Joy-Con would still function just fine, but maybe they change the form factor of the Joy-Con to something more comfortable, maybe have some different technology in it to combat the Joy-Con drift, and potentially be a part of a new system. It's not a definite thing or anything, of course, but the fact that Nintendo is indeed cutting the price of the individual Joy-Con in Japan when, well, there's really no reason to, considering how successful it has been, really has me and others thinking that there's more to this situation than meets the eye, especially if you've been following Nintendo for any length of time. Now, at the time of the filming of this video, like I said, this starts on November 6th in Japan. There is no indication that this will be a worldwide situation, but I can't help but think that this will end up becoming a worldwide situation, because why would Nintendo just discount it in one single region at the end of the day? All I know is this is definitely something to keep your eye on, and the fallout from it will be very interesting because, well, maybe Nintendo is actually designing some new Joy-Cons. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. We released a fun video yesterday talking about some games you need to play during the Halloween season for the Nintendo Switch. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.